Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Heathcote, joined by professional punter Jack Dickens and the effervescent Samantha Todd. It's Wednesday. We're excited to be here. Jack's back from fat camp, looking fresh.
He looks like
he's had a haircut too.
Camp. Sorry, Jane, off the bat there. But it's just this sit-up challenge and this fat shaming by you is low. Because you put me in a position and I can't win. If I return serve, I'm a pig.
Are you saying that you can't win the sit-up competition, or something?
No, the sledging or anywhere I take this, I look like a pig or I look like a disgrace. If I returned any of that fat shaming, imagine. I'd have to do another compliance thing.
You do look fitter. It must be the new haircut. How are you this week,
2020, you can throw it over the net one way, but you can't return it. Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway.
Sammy, how are you this week?
Terrific. Had a good one.
Beautiful.
We're going to get into it quickly this week because we've got a lot of content, Scooter.
Yeah,
a lot
bounce,
of content.
Shorter quarters, and we'll introduce our AFL experts, Cam Dean and Ian Dowson. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, guys and girls. Good to be here.
Fantastic stuff. Let's get into some of the action straight away.
Well, let's start with our favourite segment,
favourite segment of the week.
Bad beats. So guys, we'll go and have a look at some of the bad beats from the weekend just gone. And there was a couple, actually. We've got a few here. The number one bad beat of the weekend, I think everyone knows what it is, has to be the Carlton-Port Adelaide game. The Carlton head-to-head betters. We feel pretty bad for them because they got, you could argue whether they got robbed or not because Port should have won that game about 4 times over in the last quarter. They're saying that Robbie Gray is the Iceman, the clutch man, the man for all seasons, but he was one of the culprits that nearly cost that game twice in that last quarter anyway. But either way you look at it, that was a bad beat for the Carlton head-to-head betters. So we definitely feel for those guys. I had one other one. Had to turn back to Friday night. The Doggies 1-39 betters. Now, I know Cam absolutely hates the 1-39 betters, but and they probably would have chucked their tickets in the bin with about 2 minutes to go. But with 25 seconds to go, Devon Smith puts one through from the boundary line. After that, the Essendon comes steaming out of the middle. Dev Smith to Tipperwoody. Tipperwoody hits young Snelling on the chest 35 metres out directly in front with a shot potentially after the siren to get it back under the 39 points. He goes out wide to the young fella, I think it was young Cahill, to try and get him his first goal in the comp. He misses the target. The ball spills away. No 1-39 for the Doggies betters. So that was a bit of a tough one as well. And one last one, an avid listener to the program, a good friend of Little Birdie, Kyle Russell, loves getting his snout in the trough with a same game multi. He was really pigging it up on Friday night. He had Langford for an anytime goal scorer, and Langford, just like the Foxtel coverage early on, was absolutely shocking. Missed one from the top of the square, blew up his multi. So Pig Russell misses out on his same game multi. That's bad beats, boys and girls.
There's some absolute corkers there.
Big start.
One of the sharp harness punters, Ryan Spice. He was also friend of the show. He was also on the 1-39 Western Bulldogs, and he was sliding into my DMs, and he was howling on the Bulldogs result. And another little sicko, and it nearly mimics the one from the week before. Tim W had one of these same game multis again. He had Todd Goldstein to get 15 or more disposals. He's landed on 14 disposals with 12 minutes to go into the last quarter and stranded on the 14. And he had a disposal taken off him at 3/4 time because he was caught holding the ball.
That is horrible.
I feel a bit sorry for North Melbourne.
How?
Well, I think we should get to this now. Cam, what do you reckon? Cam and I have been having a little discussion. Cam, I'll let you take it away.
Sounds crook this.
I just feel like I've been able to check my phone still working during these Hawthorn games in the last few rounds. Like I thought it was broken because it's just gone completely silent. And for the first few rounds of the season, my phone was blowing up every Hawthorn game. And these Hawthorn supporters, they were tipping up a flag-winning team.
They weren't tipping, they were betting.
Investing.
Now the list is crook. There's huge problems internally. Oh, it's all happening. And it's all happened since the two, we're talking about Scooty, our man in the studio, and Dowso. They crowed big time, three-quarter time against the Roos, and ever since then, both clubs have just stopped playing football.
I don't know who's lost more
Kid who
confidence.
fell out of the tree, they're just not in it.
Me and Dowso lost more confidence, or the Hawks themselves. I tell you what, a little hot tip at 3:35 on Saturday. The phones will start to be running hot because Hawthorn take on Sydney.
I won't be watching. I'll be betting. I'll be betting on the ponies. I won't be having any interest in this contest. I don't care.
Now, and I think that's the white flag has already gone up.
Just whilst we're on Hawthorn, what, Jeffrey, Big Jeff, your club is a shambles, my man. You've tried to pull the window open, but you got sticks and everything trying to hold it open. It's shutting. The window is going to close, my man. Stop telling Dan Andrews how to run the state and just run your football club because it's a shambles.
I'm not going to touch that one. I've got a lot of respect for Jeff and Alistair. Last week's games, the Port Adelaide game was obviously, or to my eye, was game of the week. What did you guys learn from last week's games? Cam, we'll start you off.
Yeah, just going to that game, I think Robbie Gray, as Dowso mentioned, he loves the theatre. He's could have snapped one from 10 out a minute earlier, handed it off to I think it was Farrell, and who missed a sitter. And
Young Marshall.
Todd Marshall.
So it was a great finish to the game. Really enjoyed it. I was nearly throwing the remote through the TV though because my VPN was broken. I was trying to get on the phone to my VPN provider because I was trying to back the Blues at three-quarter time, and normally I just casually VPN to New Zealand, and then away I go, 350, trying to back that, and the VPN wasn't. It was on scheduled maintenance, so I was pretty devo there, and I was actually really happy to see Gray kick that from the boundary in the end.
Yeah.
Just going on from that, I think we learned that Port Adelaide, sides like that when they win when they're down is a really good sign, and I think that's what Port Adelaide did. They weren't playing really, really well, or particularly well, and they still managed to eke out a win, and I really thought that was a really good sign for them going forward. And now with the hubs and the way that the hubs are going, they're going to get teams that fly in to play them, and they're going to get crowds at home. They're going to get home ground advantage. And then that leads me to actually one of my tips that I really like. I think Port for the minor premiership are a really good bet. I think that they're a game and percentage clear, and the other teams around them aren't playing particularly well, and they're going to get that advantage. And I think that around $3.20 to $3.50 out in the market, I'm really keen on Port Adelaide to win the minor premiership.
Yeah, you can get a juicy $3.40 with Top Sport for the minor premiership there.
Cam's finally on board Scooty's Port Adelaide power. It's taken you a month, Cam, but I'm very impressed by your ability to learn and changed your mind. It's a sign of intelligence. Now, Dowso, what did you learn?
I learned that the Cats are in a little bit of trouble. I really enjoyed the Pies Cats game. I thought that was probably a finals-like intensity from both of those teams. But the Cats, they've lost Gaz now for personal reasons. I think he's going to miss 3, maybe, and maybe he misses that condensed period altogether. I'm not too sure. But Selwood's done a hammy. They already had Duncan and Narkle out from the week before. I think they're down to about their 36th player on the list. And now we come into a condensed period of time. So I think that's really bad for the Cats. So, they probably just ease a little bit in... even though they beat Brisbane the other week and they look great, but that probably just tempers a little bit of enthusiasm for backing them for the flag.
They've got a pretty soft game this week, though, against Freo.
I don't necessarily agree that that's a soft game for them. I think that is a definite danger game for Geelong, I feel. Now,
the Twitter sphere and our social media channels have been blowing up. One about Dicko's attire on the golf course. He looked like Don Burke, but... DeGoey and Petrarca. Now, DeGoey kicked 5 and was in scintillating form and probably the best single performance that I've seen this year, and I might be a little bit biased. I've got a DeGoey jumper.
He's got a little DeGoey doll at home. He's got a little bobble doll.
Sits on the desk at home. But who would you rather? I might do the who would you rather this week, Sammy. Who would you rather at this point in time? We did it at the start of the year. DeGoey versus Petrarca. They're different players. One's a midfielder, one's a power impact player up forward. because I think he's being better used now up forward. Let's go round the room. We'll go outside the room. We'll go Cam and Ian first. And who would you rather have in the side, and who would you pick first?
Absolute no-brainer. Now, Petrarca has stepped up to the next level, and he's in that sort of form that could win Brownlows. And De Goey's just he flashes in and out of games. He doesn't chase. He's sometimes got poor body language. I just think it's a no-brainer for Petrarca for me.
Dowso?
Yeah, I know Cam's been a big De Goey detractor for a long time. He's never appreciated. He's never felt as though he's taken his fitness seriously, old De Goey. But Petrarca, if he continues the way he's going, then you would say Petrarca, wouldn't you? But I think De Goey's probably done more to this point. But yeah, the trajectory moving forward, you have to say Petrarca.
Dicko?
I think there's a handful of blokes in the last 5 years who can turn a game, and Petrarca's not near that. He's a downhill skier. Ooh. Yet to prove himself on a big stage.
Fair.
De Goey has.
Yep.
De Goey's a guy who can turn a game.
And beating up good sides.
I think he's miles ahead of him.
Sammy, who would you rather? Football first.
I was actually just trying to look up some pricing for you guys in terms of the Brownlow, because you did mention that Petrarca might be a Brownlow hope. $9.25 for him, but I can't
Unders.
There you go. Can't find a price for De Goey at this stage.
We'll put that as a De Goey.
Yeah, but De Goey's a sort of footballer who doesn't win Brownlows. He's like, you don't win. At training, as Cam's saying, he would be a bit lazy, and he'd be saying to the boys, you don't win premierships in February. Calm down. Stuff like that.
He's our sort
of man.
He's
I love that
sort
stuff.
Of man.
You don't need to be that fit when you're that good.
Cam, Isaac Rankin, he started off like a frog out of a sock last week at the SCG.
He's the real deal, isn't he? It's great to see. He's what's good about AFL football. And, yeah, that goal, just kicking off the ground, and Stewie Hughes' reaction. He's going to have down weeks. He's not going to, because of the position he plays. He plays a small forward, and it's a tough position to play, but he's going to be a real excitement machine. And I think he's now into favouritism for the rising star, and it's hard to see him getting beaten.
They look really well placed now, the Suns.
All of a sudden.
Long term. This guy's going to win the Rising Star, and 2 weeks ago, the other guy was going to win it. You guys have been talking about relentlessly on this podcast, Real or Royal.
And then you've got King, who's also up in the Rising Star market. They've got a wealth of talent at the moment. He's
silky as this Isaac, man. He is different gravy to the rest of them.
Yeah, the new game is definitely suiting them. They've got a big test against the Bulldogs against the Western Bulldogs this week. Do you want to talk about this week's game, Cam?
Yeah, for me, I like the Coasters. I think they're going really well, and they're back at home here. And Bulldogs, they're either getting beaten by a lot or winning by a lot. There's no consistency. So for me, I'll be backing Gold Coast here, but I'll probably be backing them at the margins, because when the Doggies, they seem to be a young side that's just not consistent. So they drop away easy. So for me, I'll be like Gold Coast over 15.5 points.
Any other bets on the weekend that stand out to you boys?
I don't know if they stand out so much as bets, but it's interesting. I was very interested by that Swans Hawks line. I just thought that the Hawks getting a lot of respect. I know the Swans are shot, but I was surprised to see 8.5 points put up there at the start of the week for the Hawks. I'm not sure we could beat the Mitcham seconds at the moment, and
that's suburban Melbourne.
To have 8.5 up there for the Hawks, I was a bit surprised by that.
Swans 1-39. If you're going to take that sort of bet, they've never put a team away in the last 20 years.
And the other match of the round is Friday night. It's a mouth-watering contest. Sammy, might get the odds from you. GWS Giants versus the Tigers.
Yeah, GWS are the favourites here. They've actually come in from -2.5 to -5.5. That line's adjusted from $1.84 into $1.69. Richmond Tigers 2.20.
Angle?
Yeah, really unfortunate. They started 2.5. And now they've moved out to sort of like 7.5, 5.5, 6.5. I don't know whether I could back them at that price, but Richmond have a lot of injuries, and I could only be on GWS here.
Interesting. The draws now come out, and there's 33 games in 20 days.
Intense stuff. It's good, though. There's going to be a lot more content for us to watch.
I've got the remote.
It's like Christmas for a punter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really good. The less games on a Saturday, the better. because I can actually watch a few of them.
Looks like a great week of AFL. If you want to see and hear more of what Cam's betting, head to themailbag.com.au.
And if you're having a bet on the football this weekend, head to topsport.com.au, who are offering $2 lines to win up to $200. That's phenomenal value. Make sure you get around it, but also gamble responsibly. If you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, call 1-800-858-858.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. I'm your host, Scoot, with Dicko and Sammy, and it's top rope Tedeschi time, and we'll kick off with the Hall of Fame before he starts asking for another coach's head. He sort of rubbed me up the wrong way last night. He called for Alistair Clarkson's head on a steak, which is not funny at all. Top rope, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, team. Good to be here. Look, Alistair Clarkson, never heard of him, but he's a coach. Let's fun him.
Hall of Fame time this week. Who have you got for us?
Look, going a bit more of a serious note, unlike the usual Hall of Fame racket that we usually run, but Tally-ho Twinkletoe. The great jumper has now won 9 of 10. Just keeps getting the job done, looking to become the first horse since the great Moss Tropper to win the Grand National double back-to-back. Got the job done last Sunday. Just keeps winning for the punters. Well backed. Tally-ho Twinkletoe in the hall.
Jumps racing is still going in Victoria at the moment. I've got a jump with Simon Wild. I've got the Simon Wild racing hat on. And Britannicus.
At the moment.
Britannicus.
He's rocking around Sandhurst in his little wild beanie. He's got the works at the moment.
They're doing a great job down there in the magical waters of Warrnambool. Britannicus, my jumper, is racing Friday. Looks like a good chance. The race might fall away, and he won by about 5 lengths last start. So there's a little plug for that runner. Let's talk NRL. There's a fair bit going on. You've been very vocal about Seabold this week, top rope.
Let's not talk Seabold. Let's start.
Yeah,
let's start at
fresh.
Belmore. What is going on at Belmore? Are they sweet?
It is an absolute cluster. We're a family podcast, so I won't go too deep into the rest of that word. It is an absolute disaster at the moment. I'll be honest, I never thought I'd miss Dean Pace so much. He's been sacked for a week. I've called him for his head for 2 years, and now we've got Trent Barrett. And, sometimes the phrase, the better the devil you know. Sure, he was incompetent. Sure, he was hopeless, but he wasn't actively going to work against a club like Trent Barrett will. What a disaster. This is going to be bad, really bad. Normally you get that small window of hope when you hire a new coach. Just like, I've got a fresh beginning. A new start. Here we go.
A week later.
No, that's gone. That is gone. They did not even have the common sense to do due diligence and find a coach who maybe had won a premiership, plenty available right now, a coach who may offer something, a coach who wasn't the only coach to miss the finals in the last decade at a club. He is hopeless, Trent Barrett. He did a hopeless
What
job
Top
at
Rope's
Manly.
saying there is Manly have only missed the 8 2 times in the last, is it 15 years, Top Rope?
Yep, and Trent Barrett was there for both of them.
So he coached Manly for 3 seasons and 2 of them missed the 8. So he's got no credentials. Do you feel as your mail that they got rid of Pay to get Barrett, or they just got rid of Pay and then looked and quickly got Barrett? Because Paul Green came up after that North Queenslanders let him go, which we'll get to next. But he's surely been a better fit.
There's a bit of a whisper going around. I don't know. There's plenty of boardroom dramas going on. There's a bit of a power play going on. And one of the power brokers who's not heading the club is tied up very closely with Phil Gould. And he's kind of winning the battle. And there's a bit of a rumour going on that Phil Gould will come in as the football manager, football director, one of those clownish titles. And he and Trent are very, very close. So there's more trouble to come for the Bulldogs. But I do think that everyone with any common sense knew that Dean Pay was not going to be a long-term coach. Like, he had hidden behind the fact that he had a rubbish roster. Yeah, sure, he was given no hope, but he could have been given Melbourne Storm roster who would have gone backwards. Like, it doesn't matter. But they obviously got it in their head that we want Trent. Trent's the man. Oh, and now we've got him. So good luck to us. Yay!
Well, now what about
any memberships going at the Storm?
What about the Cowboys? What have they done?
I think this was actually a pretty smart move. Like, Paul Green's a very good coach. He's just one of those coaches. He's just one of those coaches, a bit like Michael Maguire, just wears thin after a while. Like, he's a pretty intense character. He got them up for a long period of time to win their first premiership. Oh, he'll walk into any job he wants. He'll be his favourite for the Broncos job, the Warriors job, or the Sharks job right now. He will walk into any of them and he will do a good job. Bill Maguire's doing it at the Tigers. He just ran his race at the Cowboys. I was sick of hearing the message. He kind of probably doesn't have the ability to reinvent himself like a few coaches. So I think they handled it well, the Cowboys. They knew they needed to move on. He knew it was the right time to go. There were plenty of jobs around. So I think for once, I think it was actually probably a good, clean break.
Now, your main hate, well, you call for heads relentlessly.
You're doing a very good job if you figured out my main hate, because even I haven't figured that out yet.
No, it's Seabolt. I asked you during the week privately, I said, like, do you just think he can't coach, or is there something else there? Because it's such a severe hatred of this man. How's he still got a job? And how long will he have a job for?
Well, the Broncos AGM and the shareholders there seem to follow a very similar line to me with some of the questioning that went on. So he's been given he's going to win 5 of his next 10 games to keep his job. They're going to review his job at the end of the season, which is a marked contrast to the fact he'll see out the next 5 years. But they will potentially get beat by 60 this week by the Melbourne Storm.
I'm going to say it's
basically
5 of his next 9, because they play the Storm this weekend.
Yeah, with a line of 18.5 there, by the way.
Sounds very skinny.
They've asked him to win 5 of the next 9, essentially.
And it's 18.5, it's not nearly big enough. There's the tip. So it's I think it's going to get real ugly for Seabolt. Like, I know they've given him that long, but the pressure's mounting so much that Paul Green's not going to be available for a long time. They're going to have to make a call sooner rather than later. He can walk in. I think his preferred job would be the Broncos. He's a Queenslander. I think he's got the credentials to probably handle that role. But he's not going to be available forever. If they don't go to him and sort something out soon, the job won't be there in 10 weeks. Green won't be there in 10 weeks.
Paul Green has got some ties to the birthplace of modern Australia. God's country, Sutherland Shire, the Finn, who are low level flying, might I add.
They're outside the 8.
They're in a good vein of form. They're building. They've got a bit of momentum.
Well, I thought you need momentum. I thought there was a typo on the run sheet here. It says, will Wayne coach South next year? How could you say that about the Rabbits, who are in the 8, above the Sharkies?
Because every single club seeks out him as their coach.
Top rope?
And there's a lot of.
I don't think Wayne will be. I don't think Wayne will be at the Rabbitohs next year.
Whoa!
I think Wayne will likely go and coach either the Cowboys or the Warriors next year. Like it'll be his choice. They don't want to get rid of him. They've got a succession plan in place. The Rabbitohs would happily keep him. But if someone comes in with a big money offer and can extend Wayne's coaching career, he's already handed over for 2022. His assistant Jason Demetrio will take over. I don't think Wayne will be there next year. I think he will go and sign a 3-year deal either at the Dragons, at the Warriors, potentially at the Cowboys.
What price is Wayne to go back to the Broncos?
It's not hundreds.
Probably longer than it should be. Because the clowns that got rid of him, they're all Paul White's leaving at the end of the year. I'd be very surprised if the chairman keeps his job. Would not be the biggest shock in the world if Wayne returned again.
Yeah, we've let Top Rope sort of have this little therapy session about coaches. We've run out of time. Before you go, could you leave us with 1 or 2 nice, tidy bets for the punters to have this weekend?
We'll put Melbourne Storm at the minus as a layup, so you can't. That's off limits.
Yep, I like the Dragons this week to knock off your boys, Dicko, the Sharkies, plus 1.5, and about $2.05. They will run a very good race. They've got a good record in that derby, and they've covered 5 or 6 since Matt Duffy's been the fullback. So we'll be backing that. And did like the Storm, but that's been taken off the table. So let's roll with Parramatta on the Thursday game, minus 7.5. They've got a good record against the Tigers. Back to full strength. Tigers do not back up a big win very well. So
West Tigers off a soft trial, really, against the Broncos there last week. That was an utter disgrace, the effort they put up, the Broncos. Top Rope, as always, outstanding. Love you. If you want more of Top Rope, head to themailbag.com.au. He'll provide you with accountable betting advice for all the rugby league. And the most fascinating thing for me, Scooty, is how often this bloke, he tips and backs St. George Illawarra Dragons after before Seabold, it was Mary McGregor who copped most of the top row heat. But he still backs him each and every week.
Well, they must be undervalued against the market expectation.
Look forward to getting on the Broncos over the next 4 weeks then, boys.
Have a good week. Bye-bye.
As usual, another coaching special segment from Top Rope and Tally-Ho Twinkle Toe goes into the Hall of Fame. Sammy, if you're betting on nags...
Ponies. Horse flesh.
What do you use?
Thoroughbreds.
Punting form,
The
of
GGs.
course.
.com.au.
Exactly. Australia's best online form guide and database.
The only, I think.
It's the best.
The best.
May as well be.
We'll take a break. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the Little Birdie podcast. It's Sammy and the boys, and we are inviting Big Daddy to the show to talk all things golf.
Oh, it sounds...
Big
Thanks, Sammy.
I love when Sammy says Big Daddy.
Love that.
Of course the Big Daddy does. Of course he does. Now, let's get into the PGA Tour. It's all happening. Bryson...
Big tournament last week, Scooty.
Oh, there was so much going on. Bryson had a 10.
That rough.
And he patted down the rough and then dropped the ball.
I'm half not bagging him for it. If you saw that stuff, like yesterday morning at Sandhurst, Scooty found himself in a similar predicament, and it's not fun, is it?
Yeah, well, then I don't revert to cheating to get out of it.
Yeah, he did. He committed to it. Mountain goated himself.
I just
up
own
onto
it.
the thing
I just
and
own the
lobbed it.
moment.
Just fisted it up there. It was beautiful.
Fraser, the memorial winner, John Ram. All of a sudden, he's ranked world number 1.
I know, how good. It's, good effort, isn't it? Great effort. 25 years of age, he's the world number 1. He hasn't been on tour that long, only a few years, and all of a sudden he's the world number 1. So one thing I think with the world rankings is it tends to chop and change a lot. We see a lot of fluctuations in the world number 1. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not, but I know I was talking to you the other day, Scoot, coming into the majors. We're only 3 weeks off the majors now. And if you were someone that liked to back the world number 1 leading into the majors, a little stat for you.
Oh.
Outside Tiger Woods, only 3 of the last 77 majors played has the world number 1 gone on to win. So, if you include Tiger Woods, it works out that it's about 10% of the time the world number 1 wins, but 3 out of 77 outside of Tiger. If you were backing the world number 1 going into majors,
You go broke.
you'd be a broke man.
Looks like another class field. They're sort of lining up and prepping themselves like a Melbourne Cup style. Brooks, Bubba, DJ,
Tony Finau.
Yeah, with Matt Wolf, the defending champion, and he's got an interesting swing.
Yeah, so you mean this week? You're talking about this week?
Yeah,
this week we had the
yeah.
TPC Twin Cities
For the 3M.
in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, normally, I like to get sort of a lot of info on courses, how they've performed at the course, like the last few years. We can't get any form on how the players are performing the last few years because it's a new venue. So it's always good when you have a tournament like Augusta National, for example, where or a major where they just keep going back to similar courses. But Augusta's great each year because obviously they go back to the same venue. But this one's going to be different this week because we've got no form on how the players have performed the last few years, so it's a little bit difficult. So we've got to try and target, I think, like for a match bet, I think we've got to target someone that's out of form and someone that is definitely out of form. And I think it's related to his patella tendon knee injury, is Brooks Koepka. Mm-hmm. He did that last year, but he's saying that it's not 100% yet, and he's had a recent MRI, and he's saying that it hasn't really improved. So, and his form's indicating that. So I think we have to sort of target, when we're having a bet this week, I think we've got to target taking on someone that's injured if we can.
I like that, the old lame duck theory.
So Brooks Koepka is a match bet at Top Sport versus Tommy Fleetwood.
What price there, Sammy?
Brooks Koepka is $1.93. Tommy Fleetwood is $1.87. And Brooks Koepka to take out the comp is $14.
I think Dicko and Tommy Fleetwood would have a good night on the drink. Tommy's got the long hair. He's a bit hipster. He's a bit out there by the look of him. What do you reckon, Big Daddy?
Yeah, well, he's playing well. He's a good player. I think he's using a lot of product in that hair of his.
You reckon?
Quite the deflection.
Yeah. But, over the last year, he's been a very good player. He's been averaging in the 69, so he's one. He deserves to be sort of second favourite for the tournament. I think he'll beat Brooks this week. DJ really let us down last week. I couldn't believe the scores he shot. 2 rounds of 8 over. Apparently that's his worst ever scores on tour. And it's coming out of nowhere. So I went back and had a real good look at DJ's form. And although he won the Travellers' Championship, he hasn't really done a lot since or outside of that. So DJ's a little bit, if we go back a few more weeks, we were talking about the change in coaches with Butch not teaching DJ and Ricky Fowler. And they're 2 players that I've got to be a little bit wary of now, particularly after DJ shot those scores last week. That was just out of nowhere. You know, they're just 2 rounds of 80 for a player of his calibre is just... and I was waiting for a report to come out that he was injured or something's happened, but apparently not. And, you know, I don't think we can follow DJ just for the time being.
I'll tell you what, I follow DJ's missus on Instagram, and I see what they do out on the boat in the Florida Keys. And I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if he has a quiet week or two, because they look like they have a fair bit of fun on that boat, and especially in COVID times, you're looking for something to do out there.
He needs some proper help, doesn't he? Proper help.
He's been on the boat since his last win, mate, for 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it was.
As you should, as I would. Anyway, Big Daddy, back to the golf. Tony Finau was 10 under, maybe 11 under last week on Saturday. Utterly jogging. Very unforgiving course. He got a little bit wobbly and paid the big price. He looks overs to me this week. Can you forgive him and sort of trust him as a professional to bounce off that? Or does that yippage just burrow itself right into the noggin and just create too much head noirs that he just sort of can't bounce back off that this soon?
See, Tony's a bit of a player that's, you know, he'd be a nightmare for your mother to watch him play, because he does a lot of dumb stuff. You know, like I saw him take on a line with driver last week. There was just a 330-yard carry. He tried to carry it over the corner and he came up 30 yards short of trying to carry the corner. And DJ didn't even attempt it. You know, it was just a dumb shot.
I love where his head's at. That's my sort of golf.
Fearless.
And he didn't even come close to carrying the rough. So I don't know. You know, Tony's a very good player. He's in good current form. He's on the increase in the world rankings. He's been playing well the last years. He's definitely a player on the up. But I think he just needs to maybe mature a little bit and get a little bit smarter. He still does a few dumb things, I think.
And Big Daddy, with the majors coming up, SJT, as she refers herself these days, had the $100 charity bet at $29 on Tiger Woods. It wouldn't be a golf segment without talking about Tiger. Without throwing Sammy under the bus, give us a critique on how Tiger went last week in a Tiger update.
Actually,
we do need to throw you under the bus a little bit, because I listened to bits and pieces of it last week, and we had a golf professional come on and give us a fair bit of insight, and you just said, nah, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to back the greatest of all time, even though he hasn't played for 5 months.
He did shorten in betting.
He's Tiger Woods, so he's going to shorten. He never competed.
Yeah, it was going for a value bet there, but unfortunately,
what's the lesson in this? Listen to the pros.
Big Daddy.
If I was going to have a bet on Tiger, it would definitely be around Augusta. I mean, he knows the course back to front. I think he's won it about 6 times. He won it last year. And then, you know, like, he's just a player he knows how to win. If he can put himself up there, he knows how to get the job done. It's not a silly bet, particularly in the majors when coming down the stretch. He's a player now that's had a recent win in a major, and he's going to carry the confidence of getting over the line. So it's more about Tiger just getting some confidence under his belt leading into majors with some good results.
He's a little bit like a proper wait for age pony, I reckon. Couple of preparation runs looking to peak in the Cox Plate or the Melbourne Cup.
I want to see Tiger have a contender PGA Tour event leading into the majors, and then that'll sort of get the juices flowing to sort of go, okay, he's ready to be sort of up there in the majors. Until we see that, I mean, I don't think you can contend a major. Well, you can, but it's less likely to contend a major if you're not in pretty good form leading into it.
I tell you what, juices will be flowing on the second week of November. We would have had Cup Week the week before, and there's State of Origin, Rugby League.
State versus state, mate versus mate.
There's so much going on in November. I was going to go to Byron, but I'm going to be locked in this studio, and we're going to be doing content galore, and we're going to get you on the show to talk Augusta and all things Tiger. So we'll give you plenty of runway. You've tipped Tommy Fleetwood this week to beat
Brooks.
No, we're taking on the injured boys, yeah. We've got to redeem ourselves from last week's Dustin debacle.
I'm going to have a peanut on Tony Finau. Just to win the lot.
Nice little pickle bet there. Thanks.
Well, that's not a silly bet. He's in good form, mate. That's all right.
I just wanted to call Dicko a pickle.
Yeah.
Big Daddy, you've been enormous yet again. There's a big golf tournament next week, so we'll have you on the show and keep you red hot because I know you run best that way.
Make sure you wear your mask.
Righto, happy punting, guys. Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks, mate. We're off to a break now, but first, if you're betting on the weekend, Sammy, where would you be betting?
I'd be betting at topsport.com.au. They are the biggest online bookies, taking on every bet, never rejecting them. But make sure you are gambling responsibly, know your limits. And if you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, call the Gamblers Helpline on 1800 858 858. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. It's Sammy and I'm here with the boys. We're in segment 4. Thanks for sticking around. And we've got some guests coming up. Scooty, who have we got?
We've got Mitch Beer, the unofficial king of Twitter, and we've signed him up. He's now part of the Little Birdie Mafia. Welcome to the show, Mitch Beer.
How you going?
We're fantastic here, and a big congratulations first up. You've won the Albury Trainers Premiership. Bold move, picking up from Melbourne and going to the Twin City. How does it feel? Has it been a ticker tape parade in Albury for you, up Dean Street?
Yeah, no, they've even shut the border for it. So, it's going to be a big event. They brought the army in, the police. So yeah, can't wait. Catered, hopefully.
I would have thought. For anyone that doesn't know, Mitch has got 22 horses stranded in Victoria and he can't get them across the border. I think that's one for the patron saint of racing, Peter V'landys. I'm surprised he hasn't flown down and choppered some special troops in to get those horses and swim them across the Murray himself.
His chopper's too busy at Warwick Farm trying to dry the joint out.
Oh, is he working on NRL at the moment?
No. It's actually Canterbury's had like 6 mil of rain in the last week and a half, and it's still a heavy 8. So he's got enough problems off PBL.
Now, on a more light-hearted note, Mitch, I'm an Albury boy, and in my youth, I used to sneak up to the back red brick canteen and grab a schnitzel burger after I just placed a bet with Tommy Patton, legend bookmaker in Albury. His son John now runs his stand, but are the schnitzel burgers still the grouse at the canteen of the Albury races?
Yeah, there's certainly a highlight of it on a miserable day at Albury. You can always get you to brightened up with the schnitzel burger out the back. We've actually convinced the local Domino's now they deliver to the car park of the Albury Racecourse, which they were a bit tentative of at first, but I think they thought it was a stitch up. But get a couple of Domino's in the car park now, which always goes down a treat when you've got to stick around for the official trial at 5:15 on a winter's day at Albury.
Speaking of food, when the call came through last week with the senior management at Little Birdie podcast to talk about your KFC sponsorship, what was the emotion when the official announcement that you'd be one of our KFC ambassadors?
The inaugural.
Yeah, the inaugural.
I skipped through it until it said down the bottom in small print that please send in your invoices, keep your receipts. So. I just skipped down to the bottom. The rest, I don't know how long I've committed for or how many KFCs I have to do, but I know who the winner's going to be out of all of this.
What's it go to order at KF?
I'm a big zinger bacon and cheese man. I've run my course with the supercharged sauce. Like, it was a novelty at first, and it's just a burden at the moment. So definitely
Sounds atrocious.
It sounds to me like a man.
It sounds the grouse.
Who likes to pack in that deliciousness, but then has to sort of get in the car for another 3.5 hours, and you can't risk too much.
They don't. You can tell not many people like it because as soon as when you request it, they just pile it on. I think they've got gallons of it to get rid of there at the KFC headquarters. So, off the supercharged sauce, but everything else gets a fair run. I mix it up. I'm certainly not a stock standard, 3-piece feed sort of guy.
I tell you what, you wouldn't get the sponsorship if you were.
Yep.
Which venue would you be most excited about going to? I know they're littered up there, the KFCs, and you've done a lot of miles. Goulburn, Sydney for the races called off. Which K Fry do you drive past and think to yourself, can't wait to go in there?
All of them. But there's the Hume. I'll tell you what, the Hume really from here to Sydney, you're spoilt for choice. Yass, terrific KFC. Real emergency KFC. Gundagai, yeah. Yass is, the good thing about stopping at Gundagai is you can stop at Yass. Yeah. It's only another hour and a half. So the 24 hour when you're in the second last and midweek at Canterbury and you've run at 8 and it's 11 o'clock when you're on the way home and you hit gun the guy KFC, it gets you through that last hour and a half, that's for sure.
So the punters, the loyal followers of Little Birdie Pod on Twitter will this week likely get a video update, a proper legitimate review of what they're offering and dishing up there at Gundagai or Yass. We can't wait.
Yeah, no, the local KFCs would be like that Gordon Ramsay surprise chef. I think I'm going to have to go undercover, a few masks and things to go in to get a true review.
For anyone just joining the show, Mitch Beer moonlights as a racehorse trainer, and in his real job, he reviews food for us. What's your best bet for the weekend on the ponies, Mitch?
I'm going to, for anyone who didn't see it, don't. But I had Jawal. I took Jawal to Dubbo.
Joshy Cudlick's in this thing.
The
Loyal owner.
The instructions were to sit 3 wide and go to the outside fence. It sat 4 wide and then went inside them and stayed there, which gave you something to think about on the 6.5-hour drive home from Dubbo. I won, my early run won, and I gave it all back and some in the last. So it was dead set cast on a 6.5-hour drive home from Dubbo, which was fun. But I'm going to back him up on Monday at Leeton. He's going to have 62. There's not a hope in hell I'm going to claim off him and go through that again, but he should be very hard to beat.
It's a little fair drive to Leeton. I think I did the cross country there when I was 12. Mitch, fantastic work there.
Run walked it.
Can't wait to see you at Little Birdie Pod.
He was run walking back then.
Talking all things KFC. Good luck with Jawal, and we hope you cop a better ride. We'll chat to you next week.
Terrific, guys. Good to have a laugh.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot, with Dicko and Sammy, and it's time to talk dish lickers, greyhounds, puppies with Troy Little, one of the best in the business in Australia, if not the world. Troy. How are you?
Good to hear from you, Scoot. I'm well.
I'll tell you what, you're one of my favourites. The last time we spoke to you, you tipped us $1.85. Morale! And it was Simon told Helen. It's just, you bet it to like Hertz type scenario. Troy, how are you surviving COVID? I know you got some kids. You're playing daddy daycare, homeschooling. How does it work there?
Oh, well, Scoot, it starts off with an hour in the morning of reading with my oldest daughter who's in grade 1 at school. And then after that's all finished, I tuck off into the dungeon and just in here now starting my day's work and looking at a few night meetings as we speak. So, yeah. Interesting times.
Surely the daughter's been doing some mathematics with you and learning about splits and sectionals and probability and a bit of tape watching.
Yeah, well, when I say map, they know it's not a world map. They know it's a map of where they sit in the run. So that's pretty important. That's pretty important in their early learning. So.
Do they know how to cheer the right one?
I feel like the pro.
Well, we've got a rule in the dungeon. If you come in a dungeon, you've got to cheer if Dad backs a winner. So if we back a winner, we get thrown up in the air 3 times, which is a lot of fun, but they're getting a bit heavier, and I'm not a massive bloke, so it's a strenuous workout.
Can still hit a mean golf ball, let me tell you about that. Now, last time you tipped us, Simon told Helen in the Harrison Dawson, about $1.85 for memory. It's funny how you remember exactly the flux, but sometimes you can't remember the race. But Maturity Group 1 at the Meadows this Saturday night. Tell us what happens.
Well, this is the Maturity. It's like the basically for the people that don't know dogs, it's like the Caulfield Guineas of the dog racing. It's an age classic race, and the winner of this race usually goes on and becomes a very good stud dog. So over the history of the race, so this lineup here, gee whiz, you wouldn't want owning 2% of any of these dogs. They're all rockets, probably bar the Pink, which is flicked a bit of a race last week and finds itself in the final. But dogs 1 to 6, they've all got elite high speed and can run cracking sectionals, but coming back to this dog, Simon told Helen, he's just doing nothing wrong, and he come back from a interstate sort of campaign, and I thought it might have taken its toll, but the trainer's got it back up. It's going absolutely enormous again, and what it did the other night in the heat, I can't see why it won't get the job done in the final, and it's come up with a bit of a soft draw with the dog underneath. It's more of a 600-metre dog, and the dog to immediate outside runs a pretty straight line. So, he'll only need 30 or 40 yards of clear space and he'll just put the afterburners on and just charge. So they put up $2.10, I think, at some places. So, I can't be betting against him, Scoot. So I'll be tipping him again, Simon told Helen.
And I'm sure the loyal listeners will be following in. Troy, if they're looking for you and looking for your analysis, where would they go?
Find me on Twitter at Troy Little Punt, and find me there. And if you've got any questions or anything there, I don't post too much on Twitter, but I'm sort of active on watching and learning about the game. So I'm there.
Learning about the game. He's a wily old fox, our man Troy Little, and I can't wait to see him in action further down the track for Little Birdie. Thanks for joining us, Troy.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
And that's us for the week. Bye.
Can keep my hands on myself.